I'm sharing my screen, right? Or are you sharing first?
I'm having you share.
Okay, perfect.
All right, cool, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Monday. It's the second Monday of January 2022 here. And so today we're going to talk about how you can become a corporate recruiter in 8 weeks with absolutely no experience. And at the conclusion of this, we're also going to make you an offer that hopefully is interesting, given everything that you've learned, everything that you've desired when it comes to learning about recruiting. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Corey Hiramoto here to take over first.
Thanks so much, and thank you everybody for tuning in on a Monday night. I don't know if there's Monday night football going on, so I
The
really
college
appreciate you.
football national championship game is going on. So there's
Oh, that's right. Ooh, I wonder if Bama's going to win again. But either
Yep.
way, thank you so much for taking away time to invest in yourself. Basically, I've got two goals. Albert and I have two goals from today's session. The first goal is to hopefully convince you that switching into recruiting as a career or a field is hopefully a really good decision for you. No matter what your career goals may be, no matter what your interests are, I really do think that there's a job in the recruiting function for somebody. And then the second objective of tonight is to convince you that anybody can make this career change because I myself have actually done that. So Albert has already spoken first, but I'm Corey. I am a recruiter during the day, but I also have a career coaching business called careershakers.com. And what I specialize in is helping people change careers or kind of shake things up as the name implies. Um, I've been a recruiter now for about 4 years, but I wasn't always a recruiter. In fact, I used to do something totally different. I was doing management consulting before this, and then I was going to work one day, and over time I realized that I didn't really like my job, but I couldn't really know. I didn't know what I would do instead. I just knew that I didn't like my job and I wanted to do something different. And so I did some soul searching, talked to some coaches, advisors, and then through a lot of different networking and having different informational interviews, I ultimately ended up finding recruiting as my dream job. And I can be totally honest, I really, really love my career. I did take a slight pay cut when I initially made this career change 4 years ago, but ever since then, I have made significantly much more money than I would have if I stayed in my prior field. And I have absolutely no regrets. And after I changed careers, which was a pretty dramatic change from management consulting into recruiting, a lot of my former colleagues and friends asked me how I found a job that I loved and how I was able to make a career switch in such a short amount of time. And that's ultimately what led me to founding my careershakers.com business. And we'll talk about this in a minute as well, but I've helped other people switch into recruiting or HR fields already. And I really do think and know that I can help any of you if you are interested in changing careers in 2022 as well. But over to Albert to give an awesome introduction about himself.
Yeah, so thanks, Corey. My name, as you know, is Albert, and you probably found this either through a Eventbrite meetup or through our Facebook group, which is called Albert's List. I am the founder of Albert's List. We're a job search community with 46,300 people over here on Facebook. We'll get you an invite to the community here at the end here. But basically, I've been helping people find work for the last 9 years now, as of really March, this coming March here. And people have found jobs that everywhere from tech companies to staffing agencies and everywhere in between off of my community based on the opportunities and the advice and the feedback that individuals have given. And, that's the intent of tonight's webinar as well, is that, even if you walk away without having signed up for anything, I want you to be able to walk away knowing that you are empowered for the year ahead, and in particular, everything going on in 2022 with the job market being as hot as it is and the multitude of recruiting jobs, especially in the case of this webinar that we're discussing, that have been posted over the last week or so. And if you hop over to LinkedIn and you go to your job search button and you look down there, it's quite a few jobs. And so I want to teach all of you today, alongside with Corey, on how to take advantage of those opportunities and make the most of things.
Absolutely. And actually, Albert is also running a marketing boot camp,
Yep.
very similarly structured to ours, where he's helping other folks break into marketing, if that's what they're interested in. So both of us have experience coaching and training others to make career or industry switches.
Yep.
All right, there we go. So, have we done this before? As I've alluded to, spoiler alert, we have. These are some of the actual testimonials from my website from clients that I have coached. In addition to coaching people to get into recruiting and HR, I've coached someone go from HR into marketing. Someone wanted to go from like it's basically a like software sales type role into marketing. I don't know why marketing is such a popular destination for a lot of folks to transition into, but that's quite a few people that I've helped, and then I've also helped someone in finance move over to operations, where actually his dream job was to get paid to travel around the world setting up operations for certain companies, whether that's for supply chain or for like m- manufacturing or testing. And so he was actually able to make that career transition, and he absolutely loves his job. I think right now he's traveling to Peru. Um, um, Peru and I think Germany are like his two um, locations that he goes to every quarter. So he absolutely loves it. And we've definitely helped people transition before. And obviously, I myself have made a switch into recruiting. So we talked about main goals, but specifically today, I'm first going to explain why I think recruiting is a really good field and why I think it's a good industry or career path for almost anybody. Then I'm going to address the question if it's really true, right? Can I actually do this? Can anyone really transition or break into recruiting without any prior recruiting knowledge? The answer, of course, is yes. And I myself am a living, walking example of it. And then Albert and I will walk you through what the 8-week boot camp would potentially look like, which we're planning on kicking up and starting at the end of this month. Now, I think there's about 16 or so of you here in the chat tuning in. And so feel free to comment or throw your questions into the Zoom chat, and I'm more than happy to address those as I go along. This isn't meant to be like a lecture or anything like that. I want it to be as informative and as valuable for all of you as possible. So please do utilize that Zoom chat questionnaire feature, and I'll be checking that periodically. And then just to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way, this is for corporate recruiting roles. Now, I know that there are other jobs called recruiters, where their main function is to recruit or enlist people into the military. And so while that is also a really great and rewarding career, that is a different type of recruiting job that I will be focusing on today. So I'm focusing on corporate recruiting roles, basically the people that will hire employees to come and work at their business, not for the military. All right. So, why do I think you should consider a career in recruiting? And there are some, I think, stigmas that go along with recruiting, right? Like if you're a recruiter, you have to be a people person, or you have to be really outgoing, or you have to be really extroverted. And honestly, I've worked with a lot of people who are introverts, a lot of people who aren't really extroverted. And they have been, in fact, some of the most successful recruiters that I've worked with. And so I think you should challenge some of those biases or some of those initial impressions or perspectives you may have about what makes a good recruiter or what makes someone enjoy recruiting. And I can tell you that I can probably find you some type of role within the recruiting function that will fit your personality style, no matter what. And I'll get into that in a bit. But why do I think recruiting? Well, as Albert had mentioned, and this screenshot actually is even from before the holiday break, which I think it's even gone up higher than this. But before the holiday break, if you just typed in recruiter in the United States, there was 134 job postings on LinkedIn. 337,000. Now, not all of them may be active. Some of them may be older postings that they've filled, but they haven't taken down. I'm sure that there's some of those in that 337,000. But even still, even if half of these were old requisitions, there's a lot of jobs to be had this year. A lot of jobs. There's a huge demand right now for recruiters. All of these companies are starting to reopen, starting to turn around their business, or are moving into different industries or verticals. And in order to help hire all of these people, they are going to need recruiters. And this is across all industries, not just technology or all of the other buzzwords, but recruiters are in a huge, huge demand right now. Now, another reason why I think you should consider a career in recruiting is, quite honestly, it's a really great transition role. I've seen people from firsthand experience transition into other roles within HR. So that could be compensation related, that could be onboarding, that could be HR operations, that could be even HR business partner, HR generalist type roles. Program managers often come from recruiting. There's a lot of transferable skills between recruiting and sales. There's actually a person on my immediate team right now who used to do software sales, and then she transitioned over to do recruiting. And then I had a colleague who used to do recruiting, and she went over to do ads sales. So it goes both ways. There's a lot of different overlap between both of those roles. Data analytics, a lot of people don't know, but there actually is a lot of data and analysis involved in recruiting, because you'll be looking at huge files as spreadsheets. You'll have to use SQL sometimes. You'll be looking at different dashboards and building them with your business intelligence team. You're going to be tracking different metrics like hiring, time to hire, pass-through rates, diversity, equity, and inclusion, retention. So there's a lot of opportunities to build additional skill sets there. So again, even if you don't want to be a recruiter forever, totally understandable. Not everybody wants to be a recruiter forever, but this is often a really great stepping stone to get you into other functions within a corporate role as well. Now, I don't think anybody should change careers purely based on money. I don't think money is the true motivator for anybody, but if you were curious, the average starting salary for a recruiter in the Bay Area with 0 years of experience, according to Glassdoor, is 77,000, which is not bad, quite honestly. It's a very respectable starting salary. I can tell you that for me, I started significantly higher than this amount when I was hired at my company with 0 years of experience. But I do think this is a pretty fair industry ballpark. It's going to vary depending on where you live, but recruiting can be quite lucrative, even sometimes starting in the six-figure range. All right. So I mentioned recruiting as an industry or as a function, and everybody knows, the recruiter role, right, where you hire people, but there's actually quite a few other different types of positions in the recruiting function itself, which can fit a multitude of different personality types or interests, or even skills, depending on what your existing skill base may be right now. There is probably a role in the recruiting function that will align very nicely and leverage those transferable skills. So recruiting coordinators, or also known as RCs for short. These folks help recruiters and hiring managers schedule their interviews. And they usually do this at a very large scale, operating across different regions, time zones, countries sometimes, and they will be supporting candidates from all different levels, from college grads all the way up to the executives is who they would be supporting. Um, uh, a lot of recruiting coordinators have like administrative backgrounds, or have like scheduling backgrounds, travel backgrounds, customer service. All of these skills highly transferable. We have sourcers. So what sourcers do is their job is to find or source the candidates that are going to be qualified for a particular job posting. And so they're mainly focused on the front half or the front end of the recruiting process. Their job is basically to research, understand the market, figure out who is the best qualified candidate for each position, go out and message them, email them, sometimes pick up the phone and call them, and sell them the role. See if they're interested in the position, ask them to come and interview and come and work for your company. If you don't like talking on the phone too much, or you feel like you are not a really outgoing social person, you don't want to be talking on the phone all day, talking with candidates, negotiating, etc., sourcing is a really great opportunity for you, because most of the time is done just spent on the computer, drafting up emails, looking at talent plans, very strategic work, but it's not as it doesn't require as much like client interaction and talking as a recruiting role would. And sourcers and recruiters typically are paid the same in most companies. Then you have your two different types of recruiting jobs. The first is recruiting for an agency or a staffing agency. Very popular ones are like Robert Half, Adecco, Tech Systems, Aerotech. Those are all recruiting agencies. And as a recruiter for an agency, you would be hiring contractors to work for other companies. So you could be hiring other recruiters to come and work for Google as contractors. And then you would basically be paid on commission. So you would be paid on a sales plan. And then there's recruiters in-house or corporate recruiters, which is what I do. So I work for my employer, paid by my employer, and my job is to just hire for my company and to bring in people to work for just my company. A recruiter at an agency will be hiring for multiple different companies to get people to come and work for them. Then you have recruiting operations. These are the people behind the scenes. These are the folks who are setting up all of the different systems and the tools and the processes and the programs that allows recruiters and sourcers and recruiting coordinators to do their job. So these folks sometimes have program management backgrounds. Maybe they have analytics backgrounds, they have consulting backgrounds, they have IT backgrounds. So recruiting operations is also a really great field as well. And then you have campus recruiting, which by the name, this is folks who focus on hiring early career or campus recruits. So where this job is a little bit different because it's more event based and there's a lot of travel involved. So if you love traveling, you like planning fun parties, events, or you like just coaching and mentoring and helping like college grads, this is a super rewarding field. And then, of course, lastly is executive recruiting. Now, typically, executive recruiting does require prior recruiting experience, but I have seen people break into executive recruiting roles without prior recruiting experience. And as it implies, your main focus will be hiring executives and bringing them into companies. So VPs, SVPs, C-level execs, all of the above. So these are some of the different types of recruiting jobs. Not all of them are the same. They do have overlapping skill sets and responsibilities, but they are in fact all different. And I do think that if we work together, I could probably find you a role that would match your interests. Okay, so I'll pause here. Let me just check the chat. Any questions from anyone so far? Chat is clear. Q&A is clear. All right, don't be shy. Oh, Peter Y. If I have some work experience, can I aim straight for any role? It'll depend on what your work experience is. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. I think I've got like 1 or 2 slides on that, but it will depend on what your work experience is, which will best align you to a specific type of role. And then how about HR business partners? So HR business partners is actually a separate function within HR. So you typically have a recruiting function, and then you would have like your core HR business partner, HR generalist function, which is different, has a different skill set, different requirements, different experience, etc. A lot of HR business partners actually start their careers as recruiters. So in fact, if you look at a lot of CHROs, head of HR, a lot of them have started in recruiting and then moved into HR business partner roles after that. So it is a very plausible transition. I actually know 3 recruiters in my company from my team who have transitioned into HR business partner roles myself. I have office management experience. How would I do? You would do fantastic. Office management, I've seen translate into recruiting coordinator roles and sourcer roles. I've also seen recruiting agencies hire folks with office management experience because it shows that you're highly organized. You're able to provide excellent customer service. You're able to handle and juggle multiple tasks. So it's highly transferable. Very good questions. Very, very good questions. Keep them coming. I love the questions. Okay, so this sounds great, Corey. There's lots of different roles, lots of different terms. All right, but like, what does a recruiter actually do? Well, we all know that the recruiting job or recruiter's job is to hire people, right? But what else do they do, or what goes into hiring people? Well, first, you're going to need to figure out what your job description is, right? What are you going to post on Indeed or on LinkedIn or on Google Careers? So you're going to need to talk to your hiring managers. You're going to need to figure out what they're looking for, what experience they need, what degrees they need, how much years of experience, how much are they going to pay these people, right? Can they actually afford to hire somebody in the market for what their budget is? So you're going to be meeting with them, writing up the job description and posting it. Then you're going to be looking at all of the people that apply for your job, see if they're qualified. You're going to want to source and find other candidates in addition to those who are just applying for your job posting. Maybe there are people who are working at another company or at a competitor that don't know that you're hiring, but they would be really great fits. So your job is to reach out to them and see if they would be interested, sell them the role, sell them the position. Then you're going to need to evaluate all the people that apply for your role, right? You're going to want to make sure that they are good fits. Their resume could say one thing, but when they get on the phone, you're going to want to validate that all their experience is true or that they have good interviewing skills. Then you're going to schedule these interviews and you're going to make sure that the interviews happen. So sometimes you have to do some coordination. You got to get people's calendars aligned. If we're not in a pandemic, they may be traveling to come and interview at your company or at your office. So you're going to need to handle all that stuff. And then you're going to need to negotiate the offer with your candidate. You're going to need to tell them, hey, I can pay you this, but I can't pay you this, or I can give you these benefits, but not these benefits. You're going to need to explain to them why taking this job may be better than taking another job or just staying at their company, right? This is where you're going to have to utilize some sales skills, where you're going to need to sell the job, sell the team, sell the opportunity. And in most cases, you would actually be helping people in their career, which is why I love my job, because I truly feel that if anyone comes to work at my company, as opposed to any other company, it's going to be a really good move for them financially. And it's also going to be really good for them overall, professionally, right? I feel like I can give them jobs that increase their scope of work, increase their level of satisfaction, maybe give them more time back with their family. There's a multitude of different reasons why people may want to switch jobs. And you really do get to impact people on a personal level, which is how or why I feel like my job is so rewarding and what makes me excited about going to work every single day. And if you think about it, you're going to spend 50 to 60% of your waking hours, like times that you're awake, not sleeping, at your job. And so if you can help influence or make people's jobs better, that to me is super rewarding, regardless of how much money I get paid. And then in some companies, as a recruiter, you will have to manage the onboarding process. So after they accept your job offer, you're going to want to make sure that background checks get passed. If there's a drug screening, they got to do the drug screening. You got to make sure that they are set up in the HR system so that they can get paid on their first day. Making sure that they know and understand all of their company benefits, right? How their 401k works, how medical coverage works. You're going to need to transfer visas, help with sponsorship and immigration if you're hiring people internationally. So there's a whole bunch of other responsibilities that can occur even after somebody gets hired. And actually, it's those responsibilities, the more exposure you get to those, is what typically lends people into transitioning into an HR business partner role. And I think someone in the chat was asking about that. And so the more onboarding, like experience that you get, will help you transition over to an HR business partner position. All righty. Let me get a sip of water here. Okay, so hopefully I've convinced you that recruiting is a really rewarding, fun, engaging, interesting career. And if not, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll happy to address any of the concerns or questions you may have to see if it is a good fit. But let's just say you're bought in, right? And this sounds really interesting, Corey. I'm kind of excited. It sounds like something I would be good at. It sounds like something I would enjoy, but I've never done this before. I don't have any recruiting experience. Can I actually do this? Or are you just kind of blowing smoke up my butt right now? So the answer is yes. You definitely can do this. In fact, anyone can do this. I think someone in the chat said, I have recruiting experience, or I have experience in general. I have working experience. Can I aim for any role? It depends. It'll depend on what type of experience you have. I can coach you through it, and we're going to dive into that as well. But in general, recruiting positions, all of them have very low barriers to entry, which is what makes it so exciting for me, is because if you are looking to make a career change, this is a great opportunity for you. Here's a job description I found, and this is from Amazon, right, which is one of the top employers in the world that someone can work for. This is a technical recruiting position. And look, you don't even need to have a college degree if you wanted to be a recruiter. So if some of you here are thinking, Corey, I didn't go to college. I didn't have the luxury of being able to afford to go to college. Or I don't have a bachelor's degree. Maybe you have an associate's degree. It's okay. You don't need to have a bachelor's degree to be a recruiter. And that's why you'll notice almost every single job posting for a recruiting role will say bachelor's degree or equivalent experience. Meaning, if you didn't go to college, but you were working for 4 years, that is the equivalent requirement to become a recruiter. And I have worked with quite a few recruiters who did not go to college, and they're fantastic at their job. In fact, one of our senior directors of recruiting at my company, which is a very large tech company, never went to college. And he was hired as a recruiter, and then he progressed through the ranks, and then now he is the head of HR. And he has never gone to college. So now you're thinking, okay, sure, Corey, I don't need a college degree. That's cool, but I'd never done recruiting before. I have zero recruiting experience. Like, I don't think anyone's going to hire me. Well, I actually think that they will. So this is a job posting from Tech Systems, right? So Tech Systems is a staffing agency or a recruiting agency, and look at what they require. So they say that they just need someone who has a bachelor's degree or 2 to 3 years of professional or service industry experience. Even military is considered transferable experience to become a recruiter. Right. So they even call it out. They could say, okay, you didn't go to college, but you have professional or service industry experience, or you've worked in the military, we will hire you as a recruiter. In fact, when I interviewed for this company, I had met a staff member who was a sales associate at Louis Vuitton. Had no recruiting experience, but worked in the services industry. Another one of the recruiters that I met was a bank teller, I believe, for Bank of America. Also had no recruiting experience and was hired at this re- recruiting agency. You just need to have an interest, in doing outbound calling or sales. Enthusiasm, hustle, tenacity, determination. These are all things that all of you definitely have. So all of you will meet the requirements for this position. Okay, but you still don't believe me, right? You're like, Corey, that's just one job posting. We really, it can't be true. There's no way. So, okay, so let's say you're like, I don't have any military experience. I don't have any professional services experience. I don't have any sales experience, Corey, so I can't become a recruiter. Again, I don't think that's true. If you look at this recruiting coordinator position for Aurora, what do they require? Well, look, they just want someone who's highly organized with exception to detail. All of you have that. And we can help you write your resume so that it shows up that you are highly organized and have really good attention to detail. Ability to work with evolving systems and structures. All of you can do that. Strong initiative and resourcefulness, right? These are all soft skills that all of us have. Interpersonal skills, customer service, etc. So there is a job in the recruiting function for all of you, regardless of your background, your experience, what you've done. We can find a position for you. And as you can see, based on these job postings, real job postings of companies here in the Bay Area, I didn't Photoshop any of this stuff. It's very attainable. Very, very attainable. Okay, I'll pause here. Any questions? Let me check the chat. Susan says, I was told by a recruiter that my background in education would not transfer to business. Actually, not true. My company hires a lot of former teachers. Teach for America is actually one of the biggest companies that we hire recruiters from at my company. I was told that it has something to do with the resourcefulness of teachers. Sometimes you have to be very creative with the limited amount of budget that you have, being very patient, customer service, right? You have to work with students, you have to work with parents, you have to work with faculty and staff. It's very customer service based. So my company loves to hire former teachers as recruiters. Even if you work in higher education, there's former professors who work as recruiters, or even as HR business partners. So I think that's just one person's opinion, that a background in education would not transfer over to business, but I personally have coached and have seen people transition from higher education into the corporate environment. And if anyone in the audience has other, limiting beliefs or like impressions that they've gotten about recruiting or the HR function, and you feel like you can't do it, let us know. Put it in the chat. Um, okay, I don't know how to do this one, Albert. It looks like Doris raised her hand. I guess Doris, if you would like, can you type out your question in the chat? Or Albert, do we like allow? I see there's an allow to speak button.
Yeah, let's let her speak. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, oh, never mind. It looks like she's referring to her previous question that she had asked about if office management experience would transfer over. So cool.
Cool.
All right. All right. So a little sneak peek. Doris, great transition. Thank you for that. What jobs would transfer to recruiting? And this is what I have personally seen, what I recommend to my clients, what some of my clients have actually done or have already done. All of these jobs I personally have seen from resumes from people that have been hired as a recruiter at my company or at other companies or that I've coached. These are all real life examples, I promise you. So if for recruiting coordinators, typically I have seen successful transitions from folks who used to work at the front desk, administrative assistants, executive assistants, research coordinators. If you work in biotech or pharma, um, those are very common roles. Um, Also for like ad and content reviews, like Google and Facebook and Amazon have a lot of those jobs. Those have transitioned over into RC roles. Real estate, right, which is basically a sales and coordination position, transfers over. Travel agencies, if you work at one of those, very highly transferable. Campus recruiting, I mean, anyone at the company can almost always transition into a campus recruiting role if they wanted to. Event planners. I've seen 2 or 3 event planners move into campus recruiting because a lot of their events, or sorry, a lot of the recruiting engagements for students are event based. So you'll be planning basically parties for college students to attend to build brand awareness, to get them interested in applying for your internships or for their roles when they switch. And also, of course, teachers have moved into campus recruiting roles. And then any sales positions, customer service facing positions, right? Like banking, car sales, insurance. If any of you work in insurance or sell insurance, I've seen those folks get hired as recruiters as well. So hopefully this gives you guys a sample of jobs that do translate and transfer over into recruiting. Who was it? Peter, right at the beginning, you said, I have some work experience. Can I aim straight for any role? It'll depend on which role or what experience you have. So if you've done some of these things, it will transfer over directly into one of these positions. And then you could aim straight for that role. Bahare, I have been told I was overqualified for entry level recruiting and I have no experience for higher level. I'm an engineer and have an engineering background. You would be fantastic as a technical recruiter because when you're screening and reviewing candidates, you actually would know if they're qualified for the role or not, right? Because I'm a hardware recruiter. And when I talk to silicon engineers and when I talk to RTL designers, I have no idea what they do on a day-to-day basis, right? I mean, I don't know if their skill set is good or their skill set is relevant, their skill set is bad, is transferable. I don't know if someone who works on a GPU can also work on a CPU, right? So quite honestly, I don't think that's true at all. You would make a fantastic technical recruiter. You'd probably actually make a really good technical recruiter. You'd be better than me because you can actually determine how qualified a candidate really is just by looking at the resume or talking to them on the phone. I cannot do that from a technical perspective because I'm not an engineer. And so I do think you would be highly qualified for a recruiting role. If I was coaching you, though, I would say that you should probably start by doing it at your own company first. Get really involved in interviewing, right? Become their like go-to favorite interviewer with all the recruiters. Get more involved on some of their events that they have, whether that's for like at the campus level or even for experienced hires. I'm sure you guys have like dinners or webinars or events where you try to get industry experts to come to like your company or to any of your conferences. I would get highly involved there and then express your interest in transitioning over into a recruiting role. I do not have a job now. Oh, okay. Well, then even more so, I think we can definitely leverage your engineering experience to hopefully get you a technical recruiting role. It would be recruiting for what you used to do, but that would be like a slam dunk. I mean, honestly, any hiring manager would love to have a former engineer hiring for them. So definitely doable. All right. Do a quick time check here. Okay. Cool. So now that you know that you can do it, that anyone can do it, that you specifically can make this transition if you wanted it, how can Albert and I actually help you do that? Now, we've put together an 8-week boot camp, an 8-week plan to help you make this career switch, and it's done strategically in steps to help you get the experience that you need, fix up your resume, get your LinkedIn ready, be prepared for interviews, negotiate your offer, pick which recruiting role is the best fit for you based on your existing skill set. And then we can even help you build a career plan to ultimately get there. That's what we're going to do in 8 weeks. So weeks 1 through 3 is going to be like your information building. We're going to be focusing on getting your fundamentals right. So we're going to be teaching you what are the different recruiting roles, what are all the different recruiting terminologies that you need to understand and that you need to know so that you can sound like a recruiter. That's going to be the biggest thing when it comes to convincing somebody to hire you when you're doing any type of career switch, whether that's recruiting or getting into marketing or getting into finance. You need to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. And so we're basically going to take you to a mini boot camp or a school where we're going to take you to recruiter school where you're going to learn all the different terminologies, all the different metrics, KPIs, vocab words that you need so that you can A, understand what recruiters do, B, validate which role is the best fit for you and is of the best interest for you, and then you'll be able to actually move into the second phase here, which is actually getting ready for your applications, getting your resume updated, getting your LinkedIn ready. You don't know how to write your resume, you won't know how to update your LinkedIn to get qualified for these roles if you don't know what to talk about. So that's why we're going to cover that in the first 3 weeks. And then you're going to take your knowledge to then update your resume, get your LinkedIn ready, and then prepare for your upcoming interviews. Your elevator pitch is going to be really important for you, especially when you are networking and trying to get any additional opportunities for yourself. Knowing how to talk as a recruiter, how to convince them that your experience is transferable and relatable to becoming a recruiter is going to be vital for your success. And then phase 3, towards the end, we're going to be helping you with offer negotiations and job planning. So should I be working for this company, Corey? Should I be taking this job offer? Should I be going into agency? Should I be working in-house? Is a sourcer role better than a recruiter role? All these different types of questions we can help answer for you. Let me just check the chat. Any questions about the bootcamp plan? as you can tell, it's building on top of each other, right? And it's also progressing through how we feel you should be timing and pacing yourself during these 2 months. We think the beginning should be all about self-study, reflection, building the building blocks. The middle portion of these 2 months will be the actual applications and interviewing process, and then the end will be the fun stuff. Great question, Peter. The cohort will be offered and starting at the end of January. The commitment right now is going to be 1 to 1.5 hours per week is when we'll be doing our lessons basically, and then there'll be
And
Q
you'll
and A
not
and things like that.
only be able to join in for those, but if we have any other additional paid webinars, you get those for free. And then Corey also does mock interviews on Albert's List as well. And so you also get a mock interview if that's the additional hour or so time that you'd like to spend in being able to prepare for an upcoming interview. So the boot camp will start in January, on January 31st, and go through pretty much the following 8 weeks into early March. And so we will be offering the boot camp. I mean, I guess, yeah, you could say it's offered in February, but it's 8 weeks of continuous instruction with potential bonus weeks depending on where we stand with all the curriculum and everything. And then in addition to that, we will also offer you a certificate of completion upon completing, as one of the things that we're trying to do here is share the work that you've done with us with actual other recruiters who can recognize it and be able to see that you've spent the time, your fundamentals, you understand how to look for a job interview, and you understand the job in general. So yeah, absolutely.
And I guess if you were wondering, so let's say you have a conflict one of the weeks and you can't attend the session. All of our 8-week sessions will be recorded and available for
Yep.
our participants to go through and rewatch or just watch if you aren't able to actually attend the meeting. But of course, you should attend the meeting because Albert and I will be there to answer your questions at the meeting. And if
Yep.
you're not there, you won't be able to ask your questions about your specific scenario.
Cool. The deadline to apply for this is January 31st. It basically starts at 6 p.m. That's the first one that we're doing, and so you will have pretty much leading up to then to sign up. So if you think about it, you have 3 weeks between now and when we are going to get together. Bahare, you're asking, how would you review our resumes and help us to customize? So you would share your resume with us if you decide to sign up for the boot camp, and we will give you we will give you a resume review during the process of this event, and you'll have an idea of how you can improve.
And in this specific case, just so there's like no, I guess no one feels misled. There will be basically a 1.5 hour session where I will teach you, or Albert and I will teach you how you should be updating your resume for a career switch, specifically when transferring over into a recruiting position. Then once you have updated your resume and taken a draft, that is when we will review your resume and then give you feedback. What we will not do is, let's say you work in you work in like a front office manager role. We will not take your front office manager resume as it currently sits and then give you feedback on it, because we want you to take our lessons learned, use our terminology, use all of the things we've covered in weeks 1 through 3 to then update your resume, and then we will give you the coaching you need from there to polish up your resume.
Yep.
Okay, and then there was a really big question at the top here from Maria. Let me make sure I get to that one. My background is in higher education in a student-facing role. Fantastic. We love it. I've applied to 90 plus position, mostly campus recruiting, but someone with more direct experience has eventually been offered the position. So while people see our transferable skills, they still end up going with someone who already has direct experience. Now, Maria, if I'm reading between the lines, it sounds like you're applying and getting opportunities to interview, but unfortunately, they're picking somebody else and they're telling you that they just want someone who has more experience. If you're already getting these interviews, then that's just not true. They want to hire you. They wouldn't have had you do these interviews if they didn't think you were qualified. So what we're going to be able to help you do is actually ace more of these interviews and show them how transferable your experience really is. Because if you're making it to final rounds and they're just telling you, "Oh, sorry, I'm going to hire somebody who has direct experience," it's not the full story, right? Your interviewing skills are probably super close to being exactly where you need to be to get that job offer. But the biggest barrier that I've seen is the answer selection and the types of projects and stories you're choosing to tell, and then how you're wording your narrative to give them the confidence that you technically do have recruiting experience, just in a different way. Maya asks, do recruiters use some tools or tests on the recruiting process? I think if you're asking, do you have to take a test when you're applying to be a recruiter? Um, Usually no. Usually you just have interviews. All right, Q&A.
Yeah, great Q&A. So Marta, you asked all prices are listed as January 30th, early, regular, late. Is there a different date for the early bird price? So the early bird price, as we've mentioned here, is the $119 and um, is pretty much a time-based thing. So as soon as all of the early bird tickets sell out, we'll move into the regular bird tickets. And so that's kind of how that works. Christine says, can you tell us more about the recruiting certificate that attendees will obtain? You'll give us a class in recruiting. Yes, pretty much. The recruiting certificate is a certificate of achievement that basically you have dedicated 8 weeks of your life to understanding and learning more about recruiting and are committed to figuring out how to break into the recruiting career. Is the price per session? This is the price for the 8-week boot camp. So $119 covers 8 weeks of instruction. And so if you think about it this way, it's group coaching from a group coaching specifically to recruiting. And, for Corey, I know he does regular coaching as well, where his prices are far higher. And so we're offering this introductory rate because we are doing this for the very first time. And so we'll definitely be raising prices in the future to match more of what the market is interested in when it comes to recruiting. But for this first time, we want to bring in a cohort because we want to impact the cohort and help them really get clear and have an impact on their recruiting career. So, Corey,
Yeah, and
I don't know if you
actually,
wanted to click into the Eventbrite page for this so you could show them. I went ahead and linked it again in chat.
okay. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. But I also want to just add some additional color. So, I mean, if you think about the value that you get for the price, it's actually ridiculous what Albert and I are offering. So 117 or 119, whatever it is for the early bird special, that's over 8 hours of coaching from me and Albert. Um, in addition to, you get access to all of the awesome Albert's List paid events in addition to free events. You could also do a mock interview session with me for another hour, right? I'm basically going to give you all the tools and teach you everything you need to be able to get a brand new job in 8 weeks for less than $200. That's absolutely insane, the amount of value that you're getting for the price. And just and also all of the content that I'm that we'll be covering in these 8 weeks, I have used to coach individuals. We've never coached at scale like this before. So that's what Albert meant by like it's our first time doing it. It's our first time doing it in a group coaching setting at scale, globally. But all of the content, all of the things that I'll be going through each week, I have coached other people with. So the content itself is not new, but the format and like how we're going to structure it and operate at scale, that part is new. And then let me go to this Eventbrite. Come on now.
Maria says, I have been searching recruiting boot camps and say that, and this is a fantastic price compared to the prices I've seen, and I'm not being paid to say this. Christine, so we'll take as many as want to be in this cohort. Right now, I think I have 50, I think is my limit. We'll probably end up a lot less than that, but you know, it would be, you know, your success is pretty much the efforts that you want to be able to put in when it comes to the work that you want to do, right? So at the very end of the day, it's really, you know, how much do you want to take advantage of what this market has to offer? So how can you join it? So Corey, you want to show them how they can sign up?
Absolutely. There you go. You go to our, wait, actually, Albert, can everyone see this or can they only see my PowerPoint?
I think they can see your screen.
Okay,
They should
perfect.
be able to.
Yeah, so from the Eventbrite page, you just click the tickets button and then this will pop up. I have so many I have the Q&A thing open here. Give me a second. This will pop up. And right now we still do have, I think Albert said 7 early bird specials. So you would pick one for yourself and then you would go through checkout. And then Albert, once they're all sold out, will this option go away automatically?
Yeah, that option will go away. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as you can see this, this means that there are still early bird special tickets available.
So you're getting a 127.88 because of Eventbrite fees, and so yeah.
And then I saw something in Q&A. Let me make sure I answer this. Anonymous attendee, how many jobs or years of experience be on a resume? How many pages long? It'll depend. So I think my general rule of thumb, if you have 0 to like 8 to 10 years of experience, you can probably fit it on a 1-page resume. Anything more than that should probably be 2 pages. I don't think anyone's resume needs to be longer than 2 pages. Even if you've been working for like 30, 40 years, you don't need anything longer than 2 pages just because we're going to be focusing on your most recent experience anyways. We don't really need to know what you did in 1983. So and then of course we're gonna have a whole session dedicated to like resume and LinkedIn updates and writing. And Maria, I see your comment in the Q&A section. Hopefully I was able to actually answer your other question. Cool. And then I guess for those of you who were curious as well about me and my background, I do have a YouTube channel, which I'm gonna, oh, not that button, which I will put up right here. So if you just go to YouTube and you type in Career Shakers, all one word, my company does have a YouTube channel. So you can actually see like samples of the career advice that I give when it comes to changing careers, you know, updating your resume, updating your LinkedIn, negotiating your offer. So you can watch some of these as well if you want to validate that I am someone who gives good advice, not just someone in front of your computer screen here. So more than happy to have you check out some of my videos and see if you agree with the type of advice that I'd be sharing.
Excellent.
Albert, Doris says, I'm a student on a tight budget. Can I pay on February 1st?
Yes, I will reach out to me separately, and I will have a conversation with you about a potential student rate. Here, let me give you my email.
We are really going to do whatever, hopefully, whatever we can to help people in their careers this year in 2022. Um, this truly is for Albert and I. This is like our passion project, like what we love to do. And it's like we are in service of you, and we want to make sure that you're getting the best value that you can, so that you can actually impact your career and your life in a meaningful way.
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, because I'm guessing many of you probably had find a new job as one of your New Year's resolutions. And so, what better than to invest in yourself here in the new year and be able to execute upon that New Year's resolution rather than wait until, and we may do this again in June or in September, but why wait until June or September to do it again, where instead you could do it, earlier and at the beginning of the year when the market is usually the best, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's 300,000 plus jobs right now.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
every company, most companies, I should say, most companies get their headcount tranches at the beginning of the year. And so if you were to wait, who knows if they'll have any openings left. And remember, they need to hire recruiters before they hire everyone else in the company. So they're going to be
Yeah,
focused on hiring recruiters first, so then they can hire everybody else at their company. And so just logically, right, there may not be much headcount come June, even if we were to do this again.
yeah,
Because businesses know I need to hire recruiters before I can hire other people. So this is going to be their top priority right now.
excellent. Well, welcome, Christina. We are happy to have you.
Cool. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone here?
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So if between now and the next 3 weeks you have other additional questions and you want to speak to Corey or I about this, let us know. Let's see. Okay. So let me put the link again here. Let's see. 8 weeks. Copy URL.
Rosa, if you go to the Eventbrite link in the chat that Albert is going to put in there, or just put in there, that is how you sign up. So it's all going to be done through Eventbrite. And then Albert, I guess Lorray is as asking a question about the certificate.
Yeah, so we'll be giving you a digital certificate if you end up attending to the very end of the boot camp. And you could, display the certificate on your LinkedIn. When we're also working with, various different companies and recruiting agencies and so forth, and people we know in the hiring industry, to tell them that, hey, look, this is what people do when they they paid for the 8 weeks that they worked with us here, and here's what they earned by doing that, and here's what they know now. And all of that provides what I would consider at least peace of mind to recruiters and recruiters who hire for recruiters and HR organizations, to really know, like, hey, they know what they're doing here, and we want them to. We know that this is what they've learned, especially for interviewing them and getting to know them. So, yeah. Yep.
Answering questions is what we love to do, Christine, and we'll be doing that for 8 weeks.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Let me go back to this one. Yeah. So this is what it looks
Yeah.
like. So it should say recruiting career bootcamp. I know Albert also has a marketing career bootcamp, which I think is what someone was referring to in the chat. But this is how you know you're in the right place. It'll have a beautiful picture of my face.
Yeah. So anyone else with any other questions? And actually, if you scroll down to the bottom of this page,
Oh,
you
actually,
can
oh, hold on,
see.
Albert. So
Uh-huh.
Maria, yeah, your question is right. It does say early bird marketing job seeker.
Oh, yes. That's my error there.
So yes, as long as you're coming through this one, 8 weeks employed to recruiting Albert's List job search bootcamp.
Let me go and edit that right now.
Yeah, I think
On the
I can
signature.
see. Yeah, I can see why it's confusing. But yes, this is for the recruiting bootcamp. It just mislabeled. Apologies.
Yeah.
PK, is this talk recorded? Not
Yes.
this one, but I recorded, well, actually, yeah, I mean, I guess, well, Albert has recorded this one. I recorded the last one that I did, December 20th, I think. And that is
Yep.
going to be up on my YouTube channel, the Career Shakers YouTube channel this week, I believe. But I think Albert's got to put, Albert, is this recording going to be on your YouTube channel?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. So yeah, you've got two options. You can watch it on mine or on Albert's List.
Okay, now you should be able to refresh that and it should say recruiter. Um, so,
All right, let me
so,
hit refresh here.
yeah. So, yeah, no, living in the details is great because it makes you a great recruiter. So, Christine, you're hesitating between the general finding a job boot camp and this recruiting boot camp. And so the general boot camp is going to be a lot more just how do you find a job in general. I don't know if you have a recruiting background or not, but if you don't have a recruiting background, it may be a little bit more difficult if recruiting is what you want to get into. In that specific one, we talk about job hunting from like a very high level 10,000 foot view, which if you already know what you're looking for and you already know what you want, is actually pretty helpful because it gives you the level of accountability and community that you're looking for. If you know that you specifically want recruiting and you've never worked in recruiting, or that you've never worked, and that you want to break into recruiting and you're looking for that specific expertise from Corey, then this specific recruiting bootcamp is going to help you out a ton. So, yeah, and I believe they are at the same price. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically, I guess to put it another way, if you know that you want to get into recruiting, which hopefully I was able to potentially convince you on in the first part of the presentation, the difference would be this is going to be highly targeted for that specific use case. So I'll be talking about, like resume keywords for recruiting positions, or like you'll tell me, hey Corey, I do this today, which recruiting job would I be most qualified for? Like those are the types of questions I can answer in this bootcamp versus in a job search bootcamp, it'll be kind of up to you to determine, okay, this like they will teach you how to update your resume, but it may not be specifically for a recruiting position. They'll teach you how to update your LinkedIn, but it may not be specifically when you're trying to change careers to get into recruiting. They'll give you job interview tips, but it may not be specific as to, okay, what are actual recruiting interview questions that I'll be asked, and how do I answer those questions? So this will be much more targeted, but it's only if you are convinced or you think or you know that you want to get into recruiting. So if you're not sure, then maybe I think you should go with the general job search bootcamp. Do you have connections with hiring companies and agencies? Yes, especially Albert. Albert definitely has
Yeah, I
connections.
mean, so what you want to do is you want to actually join our, Facebook group. where you're going to find a lot of companies who are hiring. And so those are the companies that we have within our network that that work with that post within our community, including jobs. Maria, welcome. We're looking forward to having you. Thank you so much. Helen, can you be a recruiter in addition to a full-time job? I don't think you can, but Corey?
You could do it as a consultant for individual clients, I think. You could. But you'll have to read your employment agreement with your existing employer to see if there's a conflict of interest. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. Um, but I would read through your employment agreement. It is possible. I mean, like you probably couldn't do like 40 hours as a recruiter unless you're willing to work 80 hours a week, which I mean, which is possible. Like if you don't sleep a lot, you could totally do that. But yeah, I would just check your employment agreement to see if you can do both at the same time. And then Lynn, Christina, can the content apply anywhere? I am not in the USA. I think the general concepts can apply anywhere. However, for writing your resume, that's going to be US specific because I'm based in the US. Everyone I coach is in the US. Um, I think each country has like different formats for their resumes, and that I'm not aware of. So I don't think that would translate over for other companies or for other countries, I should say.
All right, Marta, great. So we have 6 people who've signed up. We have 4 remaining early bird tickets. And then we're moving into a higher price tier. So this is your last chance. I'll do a follow-up with you guys once we get this video uploaded to to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, let us know. I'm going to give you, I think Corey's careershakers.com link if you want to book some time and ask a question and so forth. So let us know. We're very excited to see some of you commit and really knock it out of the park here in 2022. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? Looks like there's nothing else going on here. Corey, you want to take us out? Any final thoughts?
All right. Well, my only other thought is that I think everybody should take advantage of something this year for their career. All of you are attending this session, I assume, because you are thinking about doing something different this year, whether that's changing careers or getting a new job or switching industries. And so I highly encourage all of you just to take the leap this year. Find coaching if you need it. I don't think everybody needs coaching or like a boot camp, but if you are running into barriers or you're running into the same problems over and over again and you don't know how to solve them, I think you should seek out some help. Hopefully it's with us, but I think because of the reasons why you're here, I think you should leverage your motivation while you have it and figure out what help you need, if anything, to help you find the job or the boss or the company or whatever it may be that you really, really love. And I think 2022 is going to be a great year for everybody, especially from like a job market perspective. So I think a sense of urgency will definitely pay dividends, literally. So.
Well, wonderful. Thank you all again so much. We appreciate your time tonight, and we look forward to having you in the boot camp here. And signups will remain open for the next 3 weeks, and I look forward to hearing from those who may be a student and want to work out a different arrangement, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday. You can actually catch the second half of the college football championship game, and we'll all talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye.